For those of you who aren't familiar with Booking Holdings, it really is the largest online travel company in the world. They've got 6 mega brands: Priceline, Kayak, Agoda, Open Tables, and I'm missing another 2, and we'll touch on them in a moment. Booking Holdings really is, I don't know if you know this, but in the summer this year, it actually became officially the largest with an over $100 billion valuation. The company is active in 220 countries, over 40 languages. And it's not just the languages, it's the fact that the websites are actually translated in those languages. And I don't think there's a more fitting setting than this amazing conference to invite Glenn to tell us all about what he's doing and leading in the travel industry. Glenn, please join me on the stage. Thanks, Glenn.
Thank you.
Good. So I think, I know you became CEO in January 17, and you actually joined Priceline in 2000. But really, everything we're seeing, everything that's happening, all this disruption is you. So maybe you can share with us a bit on, what you've seen in the industry. I think you were saying to me that the group was founded in the late 90s. So what you've been doing in the industry, how travel has evolved, and what this, this big acquisition spree and how that folds into everything.
Okay, so first of all, I did not do everything. That's the first thing. We have over 20,000 employees, and everybody is part of the success of the company. But even before answering your question, I have to say something else. So I'm listening to the introductions, and it's going, and I don't understand any of it. And in my mind, I hear my mother-in-law, who teaches Hebrew back in our synagogue, back in the States. And I hear something like, I told you so. Sure. So, look, we have been very, very fortunate. And the company is the largest travel player in the industry. And it didn't come just by chance, though chance does matter a great deal. We started out as a tiny little company in Connecticut, which is not the hotbed of technology. People don't hear Connecticut as a place to do technology. But we had a vision. We had a vision to help people experience the world through technology. So we use technology to make it easier for people to do what they want to do, which is to go around and experience what a great planet we live on. And it hasn't been easy, but it's hard work, it's using intelligence, and a little bit of muzzle.
So, so maybe talk a little bit, though, about the evolution. What have you seen happening in travel over the years? That the changes of patterns, what people are looking for today versus then?
Sure. Well, let me tell you a little of the technology out of it. So we started out, and of course, way back, and I saw many of the people here very young, and you don't know this, but there didn't used to be a thing called mobile. You see, you only had this desktop thing, and you could do that, and that's where we started. But then mobile started, and anybody who didn't have a mobile strategy became roadkill. Just dead, the way things changed. So you needed to adapt, and we adapted to that. Now, where people used to say, everybody's a mobile-first company, now everybody says, we're an AI-first company, right? I mean, everybody says it, right? It's so important, though. It really is the truth. The companies that are not taking advantage of all the new technologies in the whole world of AI are going to be the next roadkill. So that's why we're here in Tel Aviv, why we have 40 developers now, and we're growing very rapidly up there. That's why we're on the incredible, beautiful new tower, the Israeli Sarona building. It's an enormous thing. Well, so we can attract the best talent, because that's what'll do it. The fact is, the world is changing faster. Technology change is accelerating, so you have to keep up with it, and it's so hard, but it's a necessary thing for success.
No, so totally. So you were talking about AI. Let's add to that a little bit of big data to the story and all the analytics. Maybe talk to us a bit about how you're really harnessing that power in the listings themselves.
Right. So everybody knows how hard travel still is. I mean, it's a lot easier than it was 20 years ago, but it's still hard from the time you start thinking that you want to take a trip to the time you start doing it, to the time you get back. There's a lot of friction. And you want to use technology to get rid of that friction. Now, AI can help a great deal. And let me just give a little vision, a little bit of the future. So you're going to think about taking a trip. Right now, you'll be given a bunch of choices on most websites or on your mobile app. The fact is, are you getting the best choices or not? Using AI, using what we know about a person's history, other people who are similar to you history, and all the other data that we can gather, we can help refine that using either deep learning models or all types of machine learning and figure out what is the best thing to present to you to reduce the time that you need to spend trying to figure out where you want to go. But it gets more than that. It's bringing together so many different sources of data to be able to make sure the trip works more smoothly. So imagine, you're in the car going to the airport, and also in the airport you get a notification they've changed the flight, and the one you're on is canceled. Well, there's so many things that are going to change now because perhaps you had a dinner reservation that you were supposed to go to. Well, you're going to have to change that. Someone was supposed to pick you up at the airport. That's got to get changed. Maybe you're going to come in late, and the hotel is not going to know that you actually are coming. You're just coming on another flight much later. They may give away your room. All these things, maybe you had some excursions you had planned. All these things have to be changed. You doing it manually, going around changing it, it's a pain. Shouldn't this all happen automatically? Of course it should. Or the fact, when you go to a hotel, how many people have gone to the hotel and you're checking in and they ask you for all the information that you used to book it? It's like, what are they doing? They're typing away in the back. What are they doing back there? It's crazy. And then they give you a piece of plastic. This plastic is going to be used to get you into the room. You have a phone. It's the phone you used to book it. Why do you need the piece of plastic? It's crazy to do it that way. And there's so many things I can go on about the way we're going to use technology. We're going to make it seamless, frictionless, and easier. So you can be doing what you want to do, which is enjoying the world, not going around playing with your phone.
Oh dear, the number of times I've done that sitting in an airport lounge trying to remember everything that I ordered. And then you always miss one. You always miss one. It's either the driver or it's the hotel or if it's dinner. Yeah,
it's crazy.
It does scare me a bit, but okay. But, you know, you talked about listings, and I am going to just 1 second give a little story of my own. For those of you who don't know this, Booking.com today actually has the highest number of home listings on the web, above Airbnb. I think 5.5 million?
5.6.
5.6 million listings.
Who's counting?
I this summer went to Scotland with my family, and I was going all around Booking looking for a hotel, and suddenly all these listings came up of houses. We ended up staying in a home in Scotland, thanks to you guys, that was honestly said by my children to the best holiday ever. So maybe you can share with us, because I know, you know, everyone was giving me advice on questions, and everyone asked me about Airbnb, but you're already bigger.
Yeah, and I can give similar type stories because, and that's part of using data to be able to see where are the trends, what's happening. And we saw the trend showing people like to not only stay in hotels, but they like homes and apartments and things like that. So we started building out that business. And we did it based on what we thought may be the best way to do it. But then it's the data that proves it's the best way to do it. And that is, people like to see the homes, the apartments, and the hotels on the same page. We're the only ones who are doing that right now, showing the breadth of all the potential inventory. Now, on top of that, you want to see all the reviews for hotels and for homes in the same place. Another thing that we're doing differently is we don't charge the customer a service fee. We just don't think it's right that you have the price up front and then you get knocked with a fee at the end. That's a bad experience. And most important at all, and this comes into that issue, people's attention span is becoming shorter and shorter and shorter. When you go on the Booking.com site and you want to get a home or an apartment or a yurt or a tree house, or we have igloos from go fast on the igloos, because even forget about what my president is saying about global warming. Go for the igloo quickly if you want one. You get that instantly. It's instant booking, immediately done. Other sites, many of them, when you're doing a home, you're going back and forth, back and forth. That's not efficient. That's not the way people live nowadays. People want it now. And that, we think, is the right way to do it.
So are you going to be able to tell me soon where I want to go next?
Actually, I know where you want to go next, but I don't want to tell everybody here.
No, really, the role of prediction, I mean, it's really starting. You know, you mentioned AI, but it's really being able to recommend, based on our previous patterns, what we want to do and double guessing at. Is that part of the roadmap?
It really is, because, as I mentioned, it makes it easier for people in terms of what they think they want to do and helping them refine it and make it easier to do. But there's so many other things in terms of understanding, in terms of what are the trends going, so we can then allocate resources in the right places. I'll give an example away from our own business. Let's take ride sharing, ride hailing. Being able to predict where the demand is going to be, so the cars are moving to those places before the people need the car, is really a very, very important and good thing. We know that how important all the technology and the AI is. So, you know, we went out and we bought a company here called Evature. These are some really brilliant people. They're doing natural language processing thing, very high-end stuff. You know, one of the things we're able to do with technology is that when you want to ask a question to some sort of an issue with our services at Booking.com, you don't have to speak to somebody. You can use our chatbot, and we have 60% of the answers are being done automatically using AI to come back with the answer. That's showing ease, because people, they don't want to wait on the phone for 15 minutes to talk to somebody. You want to get that instantly.
So you touched on Israel. You know, I believe you've been active in Israel since 2013. It was first with the acquisition of Clicker in 2014, and then Evature, and you really have quite a few activities here. You know, the room is filled with entrepreneurs. I mean, the average age is far younger than me. Just a few questions. You know, what are you looking for in Israel? I mean, Israel is big in big data analytics, but what are you seeing? What are you looking? You know, even to tell the audience, you know, what to offer you.
Well, look, and again, this comes down to the best technologists will produce the best technology, and that will give you a competitive advantage. So yeah, we bought a company, a lot of people don't know this, a company called Clicker. Click was founded by 3 guys who had come out of the Talpiot program. They'd been in the Army for some time, and then they started a little business, and we just saw what they were doing be great. And we brought them into our company, and they went over to Bangkok. The company's called Agoda. It's one of the brands that we have. It's actually a very big company, but everything gets dwarfed by Booking.com, which is just enormous. And I'll be perfectly honest, these guys are some of the smartest guys I've ever met it's just brilliant. And the lead guy, Omri Morgenstern, he's now the COO of Agoda, and people continue to rise up because we need to have smart people. We need to have technology. And Israel really is the center, absolute center. When you think about punching above your weight in terms of technology capabilities, the number of people yet what's being produced, this is the place. Look, if you want to go fishing, go to the pond where there are a lot of fish.
Yes.
This is like full of fish.
It's true. It is true. So I know, you know, coming to this event today, I think I must have received at least 50 business plans from people that said, you've got to show this to Glenn before he leaves the room today. So tell me, what are you looking for going forward? Like, what is the next thing we're going to see coming out of your magic hat?
Let me get sure I get the question right. So basically tell all my competitors I just want to make sure I understand the question here, what we're going to do. Does the IDF do that? I think they'll build a battle plan before, you know, I don't think so.
No.
So let me talk a little in general, though. What we really want is, again, top, smart people, AI being our most important thing right now. But there are other areas, too. So look, we invested in a company. It didn't do as well in payments here. That's okay. It's okay to have failure. We tried that because we know how important payments is going to be. That's a good thing. We did Evature. We did Clicker. We made a business in a company called Yotpo. I don't know if you know Yotpo. Yes. We did that one too. So we're always looking. There are many different areas. Look, one of the things we would not invest in, but one of the things I'm very, very aware of is security. Yeah. And cybersecurity is so important here. I personally have a relationship with, I don't know if I guess you consider competitors, Wild Ventures, leader offer, and my daughter is actually living here in Israel, interning with them. And, you know, the work they did in security, and I went to investor conferences that they would put together and show some of the, and oh my God, I walked away, oh my God, we need to spend more money.
And to not turn on your phone anymore.
Yeah, exactly. You know, yes. It's very dangerous.
No, so that's fantastic. So actually what I want to do is I'm being cued here by Ronnie that I would like to let one or two questions maybe from the audience. I know that there's one specific question that I've been pushed for. Do you want to ask it? I think you were going to ask it before.
Hi, Omer Kabir, technology correspondent for Kלכליסט. So your company has been aggressively expanding in China, and I was wondering what sort of specialized strategies do you use in this country, and how does the difference between the Western traveler and the Chinese traveler derive those or pushes those strategies?
That's a good question. So first, China is by far the largest travel market now, and it is the locomotive that's going to drive the travel train for a very, very long time. You've probably seen it here. 10 years ago, you probably didn't see any Chinese tourists. Now you see Chinese tourists probably in many, many places. We need to be there. We need to be big there. So you may have seen we invested $500 million into a company called Didi, which is the ground transportation company there. But even more important is, and this is it's more generic that I want to talk about. In the beginning, scale was the motto. We wanted to scale the business, and we wanted to scale globally. And a lot of people would take their business and they change it a little bit for different cultures to make it a little bit different. Our thing was, no, at the speed we were growing and the size we were at that time, we were saying, don't do that. Do not localize. That was then. I mean, there's a motto, don't fork the code. No forking the code. And we did that. But now we've reached a size and a scale and a thing, and some things are so different that now we are adapting the idea, we should fork a little bit. We should localize. So in China specifically, we are actually doing a big localization thing because you have to. The culture and what goes on over there is so different. Here in Israel, for example, people use credit cards, and they can use the credit card to actually book a hotel. In China right now, if you're not using WeChat, if you're not using WeChat or Alipay, forget it. You're not going to be there. So you have to know, as you're building your business, at what stage do you say, I'm willing to stop scaling what we have and start forking? And that is a critical decision. And you do it too soon, and now you've incredibly slowed down the growth of that business. You do it too late, and you've missed out on great opportunities.
Do you know that, just on that, I want to add a point, as we were talking before about some of our big investors from China. One of these big technology groups said to me when I was bringing them some ideas, they said, just remember, you can't also take a startup to China. You have to take a startup to China. Can't be someone that was targeting Europe or the US and they just tweak their plan and just head out east. It just doesn't work. It's such a different culture.
It really is. It really is.
So one other question is from O, please.
Hi, I'm an editor at Kלכליסט. I would like to ask about your investment in Didi Chuxing. What are you guys getting from being invested in a ride-hailing company?
Yeah, no, that's...
Can you say what Didi is?
Yeah, so Didi is, think of it as the get of China, is a way to think of it. Some may say like the Uber, but let's stay local. Let's localize. So we put $500 million in, and sometimes people said, why did you do that? Well, the first thing is the relationship, very important. When you go to China, you're not going to rent a car and drive around in China. You got to get around somehow. How are you going to do it? You're not going to be able to use Get in China, at least now. Who knows? Maybe change. Who knows? But right now you can't do that. And you can't use Uber in China. You need to use Didi. Interesting thing, Didi only had a Chinese app until recently. Now they have an English one. We operate in 40-something languages. We got people who don't speak English. So what are they going to do? We now have, in this relationship, you go onto the Booking.com app or our Agoda app, and you go on to get ground transportation. It's in your language, and it's on our apps. So it's seamless. It works perfectly. So that was one. The second thing is, I mentioned how important it is for us to be big in China. It's not easy. It's an incredibly competitive place. We need to get our name out there. Didi has almost about 600 million customers. So we're going to do marketing things to get our name in front of them. And then, of course, the third thing, and coming from a finance background, I always want to get a good return on our investment. So we'll make money too, hopefully.
No, I'm definitely. No, the fact that you're translating Didi, I don't think people realize you really can't get around China without a writing app. And they're all in Chinese. That is amazing. So maybe in the few seconds that we have left, give us your vision for the future, travel industry.
So it's amazing how much things have changed so much in the past. I remember 1985 going to China, and the idea how you do it, and there's these things called fax. Again, young people don't know what they were. They're thinking to fax something off and come back and all this. It was crazy how hard it was to get around and everything. Things are easier using the phone. The fact that I can have a video conference call with my mother-in-law and my wife and my daughter, and we all get together, it's great. But it's still just a fraction of where we're going. And it's technology that's going to drive us there. And it's going to be so much easier, a better place, and a more secure place.
Totally.
And not just cybersecurity, all security will be better.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.